And we are live again. Wrestle Purist Live, hosted by myself and Joe Hulbert on this Friday afternoon. And we've got quite a stacked weekend ahead of us. There's quite a lot of shows on, particularly tonight, this Friday night. So we're going to do a weekend preview, which will include SmackDown, Ring of Honor Final Battle, AEW Collision, AEW Rampage, and there will also be a CMLL show, which I want to have a look at because Andrade is making his return. And it's quite exciting. So there's a lot to get into. But first things first, please like, subscribe, send any super chats, any questions, any takes, anything like that. We'll get them read out. Please turn on post notifications. Hope everyone's doing well. Same with my fellow co-host, Joe Hulbert, riding high. How's it going?
I'm good, mate. Back on the Friday. I skipped the town last week, so we're here to make up for it here with a weekend preview of the 18 shows you just run down there a moment ago. Very confusing, right? Before we went live, folks, Monty said, "What should we start with?" And I said, "Oh, we'll go in order." And then it was explained to me that means there's like 4 shows on at the same time. So that's no good for anyone. We're here to talk through it all nonetheless. Anyway, I hope everyone is well.
Yeah, Friday is it's very stacked tonight. It's very stacked, you know. You got SmackDown with the return of Roman Reigns and the Intercontinental Championship tournament getting underway. You got Rampage, which has a very hyped up trios match on it that a lot of people have been talking about. It also has the Von Erichs, you know. Ring of Honor Final Battle, of course, there's a lot going on over there. CMLL, Andrade, Mystico, Rocky, you know. Got the boys, and there's some Continental Classics looking good. Garcia versus Eddie, Andrade, Claudio, Braun versus Brody. You know, it's a lot to keep up with. Not sure how much of it I'm going to be able to have watched by the end of tonight because, you know, there's so much on. But I don't know, man. But
what's your approach tonight? Are you going to, before we get into the specifics, are you going to bounce around from show to show depending on what's on, or are you going to stick to one show and then what's the plan?
Well, the form is what I usually do.
Yeah.
You know, I'll have everything up in the background or whatever, you know, quickly accessible, you know, and I'll see what's going on by checking the timeline and obviously just going between tabs and stuff. And, you know, you got to play it smart, bro. You know, when there's this much wrestling on, I can't be sitting through like a pointless.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think when we get into it, you'll see some stuff you can probably miss. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's probably the smart play. I'm gonna go full old school Bing Bong tonight and just lock in on Final Battle as is tradition in my personal life. But that may be a mistake. We'll see.
Yeah, it could be, mate. It could be. It's like, was it last week or whenever it was? Yeah, it must have been last week. Andrade versus Brighton was like head to head with the men's Iron Survivor, and there was plenty of things on both of those shows which I would have happily missed, you know. But like those two things just happened to go head to head, and it was. I hope none of those big clashes happen tonight, you know. Of course, I chose Bryan Danielson because you have to, you know.
It's true.
Someone puts a gun to your head, Bryan Danielson or anything else wrestling related, it's, you know, it's...
You can't pick a match with Donovan Dijak over a match with Bryan Danielson. I don't care who's in it. That was spiteful, folks. I apologize. That was very good, the Iron Survivor match. Very good.
It was. Yeah, Trick Williams got business done. We got a quick super chat, though. I'm going to read that out. 199 from Cody Wills, always appreciate it. Hello, Mighty Monty and Big Bert. Hope all is well. Hello, mate.
Mighty Monty, what do you think? You in on that?
I mean, if it works for Cody, it works. I'll take it.
That's it, man. Yeah, if it gets over, right, here's what it is. Like, do you really think I wanted to roll with Bing Bong? Here I am. You know, is what it is.
All right, so let's start with Ring of Honor Final Battle because Joe Hulbert did inform me when we was having our pre-show discussion that, you know, they've got a 0 hour, so it's very likely that they will be starting the evening first. So Ring of Honor Final Battle, the last ROH pay-per-view of the year. Of course, this time last year, the very, very famous dog collar match between the Briscoes and FTR, one of my favourite matches of all time. And yeah, just... They've put together a pretty nice card, you know. These ROH pay-per-views have sometimes under Tony Khan looked a little underwhelming on paper, but have absolutely delivered. And there's been instances of the opposite not the extreme
Yeah.
opposite or anything, but yeah, man, we've got a decent show, so let's run it down. We'll start with 0 Hour just to get the pop out the way. The Von Erichs versus the Outrunners, Joe. This is the WWF. This is
Yeah, this is some good old fashioned horse shit here to kick the night off. But it is funny to me we're getting a double dosage of Von Erichs here on the Friday Night Wrestling slate, which is quite the deal. If you're gonna do it right. Outrunners, playing to the bit, and I don't think it'll be any good, but it should be a laugh, right?
I
Should be a
hope
laugh.
Marshall and Ross can make a decent account of themselves over the next, well, I'm sure obviously the Rampage match has already happened. It was already taped.
Yes.
But hopefully that went somewhat well. And hopefully this tonight goes well as well, The Von Erichs in Texas, they can't let it down, They can't underwhelm us here, Joe Hall, but
Well, they'll be the judge of that, right? I mean, I'll never forget, and it's unfortunately apt on this show. When Flair's last match, when they did that show, and I remember they announced Briscoe's Von Erichs, and I remember thinking, this is really the test here, because if anyone can get these fellas to have a good match, and I can confirm they fell slightly short of that mark, which is, you get what you get. Look, they're only 35 years old. Maybe they're going to figure it out here someday soon. Lock in, brother. Anything's possible. Late bloomers, you
someday,
never know.
mate.
Yeah.
Someday.
I'm glad they're getting the payday. God bless them.
Well, at the card I'm looking at here, this is the only 0 Hour match, but I'm sure Tony Khan's probably got something up his sleeve. He's going to throw up a very random match graphic, probably within the next 90 minutes.
Yeah.
It might already be out there, but, it wouldn't surprise me if Tony Khan does add a match or two to this 0 Hour. What else have we got? We've got Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony versus TMDK. Bad Dude Tito. Jeez, who we got? Who's even in Team DK now? I know, but
I think
I
it's
saw a
the.
lot of for. I saw
What
a
did you
lot of
say,
hype for
Monty?
Bad Dude
Yes.
Tito. So
Tito, I think it's Tito, Nichols, and Haste, I think, right? I could be wrong. I think it's the actual team. I could be wrong. This is not going to be the only time I say this when we break down this card. There's a handful of matches on here that I think will be like pretty good, but are not. It's Haste, Tito, and Fujita. My apologies. Thanks to the chat.
yeah. Let's get to the. We're supposed to be doing a preview. I'll get to the bottom of this.
Okay. The chat's usually right, to be
Yeah,
fair.
the chat is usually right. Anjan is right. It is. It
Yeah.
is. It is Vegeta, Tito, and Haste.
Wait, so Mad Mikey's not even on this? Oh, I'm distraught. I
Mad
didn't get
Mikey.
refunds. Oh, big Mad Mikey was going to be running into Leona. Now this is not even interesting at all now.
Vegeta is very good though. So
yeah, but who needs good wrestlers when you can have Mad Mikey out there stumbling around?
Mad Mikey and Leona colliding.
Yeah. I like the Gates of Agony an awful lot. I think they're a fun trio with Cage. I can't pretend this is the most thrilling encounter for me personally. It's also for the Ring of Honor 6-man titles, which is, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, not the most prestigious prize in all of sports. But it is one of the only title matches on the show. So there's that for those keeping track. I guess they'll win the Gates of Agony and Brian Cage, right? I guess.
There's a few title matches, John.
Is there?
There is, mate, but there's one of them's a AAA title. One of them's for a title that's been vacated.
Of course, yeah,
So,
you're right.
Then wasn't Utah versus Lawler added like yesterday. So
yeah. I thought they were going to do the Hook match. They've been building to that Hook thing.
You've been building for it for a minute.
Yeah.
And then they did like Wheeler versus Orange Cassidy, which didn't even make sense in the segment that they built to it with, because it was like Utah and Hook had been going back and forth. Then when Utah saw Cassidy and Hook, he went after Orange Cassidy, and he was just like, okay, and we still haven't got that Hook Utah. I don't know, double title. double total, mate.
I
The
actually thought it could
big
be
business.
I thought it could be a cool way to let Hook develop. Honestly, just give him the Ring of Honor pure belt and let him kind of because that's an interesting style, right? To kind of, I don't know, it's weird. I think it would have added. I'm not saying that match would be better than the one they have here, to be honest, but it would add a certain there's a little bit more of a hook to that match. Nonetheless, what was the next match we wanted to talk about, Monty? I apologize. We went off the rails there once again.
Yeah, that's what we do. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Let's
So,
talk about Wheeler Yuta versus Filthy Tom Lawler. And Wheeler Yuta getting the pure total defense on the show. Not much to complain about here. Tom Lawler,
right.
solid worker. Wheeler Yuta. Wheeler Yuta's good, man. Wheeler Yuta's
For
good.
sure.
He hasn't had like a blow-away performance in a minute. I doubt this will be it, but I'm
Right.
still expecting a very decent match, yeah.
Yeah, me too. When this kind of came up last night, I mentioned it that Tom had some real bad luck, right, with the Adam Cole. What show was that? It was like it feels like it was Forbidden Door, I think. Yeah, Forbidden Door. Which is now 6 months ago, which is crazy. So, I feel like Tom kind of was due a little bit of good fortune, and this opportunity is a pretty big one because if you look at the rest of this show, this match is going to have space. I mean, obviously with the pure rules, it has like its own kind of framework and limitations, but ultimately, it's a match that's not going to be a throwaway on this show. It's one of the bigger matches on the show, really, right? In the grand scheme of things. So hopefully it goes well. The pure rules kind of reboot has been interesting in terms of how different guys have approached it. I like Jonathan Gresham a lot. I think he kind of lost his mind a little bit with the pure rules stuff at some point, and kind of was like wrestling against the rules to a degree that undercut how good he is. Since it's become an AEW, more of an AEW thing, I think we've seen further mixed results with Yuta kind of embodying that, right? Some of his matches I think have really gone well in that regard. Others I think have been lesser than if they just had a regular wrestling match. Tom Lawler should be a great fit for this, really. Right on paper, it should
On
work.
paper,
So,
100%.
yeah. So I'm hopeful. I'd like to see Tom do well, especially after all the shenanigans that went previously. So hopeful. I don't think there's any hope of a title change, though, do you? Seems like a lot Q is winning.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think you're right, mate. I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah, I'd be interested. I'm interested to see what Yuta can do in this, really. Like I said, it's been a minute since he's had a blow-away performance, I think. But he's not like he's going out there and stinking it up or even having like bad performances in any way, shape, or form. It's just
it's been in the background a bit, right? Like
to say the least.
Yeah, because even when he won this belt back, it was the main event of the first hour of a 3-hour block of TV, and it just kind of came in the way. Like everyone was like, "Whoa, you won?" Oh, anyway, it was, which is what it is. It's a shame. I mean, I think we've discussed on these shows that Shibata was pretty clearly supposed to work this show, and there were some issues to say the least. So yeah, hopefully Yuta has a better kind of a night tonight and shows out.
What do you make of Wheeler Yuta's role at the moment, in the sense of that, like, we've just mentioned him being in the background, and he's been in the background for a minute, and I'm not saying that he should be, like, overthrow Bryan Danielson or Claudio or anything like that, but obviously for a while, it is a good role for him to be in and to develop under and stuff, but when do you think it will get to the point where it's like, okay, Wheeler Yuta can probably step out on either on his own or just do something a little bit different where he can kind of not be so much just in the background?
Yeah, I think it's a good question because they have invested a lot of time in Wheeler. Lest we forget, Double or Nothing ended with him pinning Kenny Omega. Now, obviously, there are other elements at play there with the big turn, right? But still, he pinned Kenny Omega. I think it's a fair question. I think what you're seeing right now is kind of the issue with the Blackpool Combat Club role he was given, which helped him a lot, to be clear. But I think the downside of it is when the other guys are doing singles things, he's kind of left without a clear path. And I think the biggest issue he's had, and this is completely out of his hands, so I feel for him in this regard, is of the whole group, he was the guy who really benefited from when they leaned heel, right? He really felt unlocked as like this kind of little brother dipshit heel. And that was great for Wheeler Yuta until then the rest of the group kind of quietly sort of turned babyface, but not really. And now it's bizarre, right? Because we've seen matches in the last couple of months where he's worked as an out-and-out babyface selling for heels, and the people do not like Wheeler Yuta because he did his job. He's kind of suffering from his own commitment in that regard. Bryan Danielson can be a dick and get cheered like that because he's Bryan Danielson.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's been a victim of the BCC's kind of messy creative. I think he's the biggest victim because he has the least to fall back on. So I think there needs to be a solution in general, honestly, Monty, about what this group is going to look like in 2024. It's a great concept. We all loved seeing it come together. I think there's been some good stuff. I have to be honest in saying that I think it'd be worth exploring like different options for all involved. For you, and my idea would honestly be, I think he would benefit from. This is always tough because I don't want to do this to Claudio in some ways because he's been a tag guy so often. But I think that as a full-time team, they would be very beneficial, legitimately. You know, Yuta and Claudio, I think it would help Yuta a lot. I could see why Claudio wouldn't be thrilled because, as I said, he's done that a lot in his career. But man, that tag division could use those guys, don't you think? Like as like a working heel team. Oh no, that'd be my direction personally.
Well, the tag division could do with a lot of things to give it a few,
Yes, it could. Yeah.
Kicks of life, So we've seen Yuta and Claudio as a tag team, and we know that they work well together, and it would only get better if they became a full-time tag team. But of course, there is that concern of, Claudio's done a lot of that.
Right. Yeah, and he's older. You don't want to waste these years he has left just being another tag team. But it's what the roster needs in some ways. And that whenever I see them team previously, they were teaming quite often for a little bit this year, as you mentioned. And I remember thinking, like, there's something here. But it's tough. I always wanted him and Garcia to do that too, I always thought that'd be great. So there's some options.
There is a lot of options, and there's a lot of things to think about, like you said, for the Blackpool Combat Club going into 2024. It's like, do you do something completely different, or do you just give them more of a clear identity? Because I do think that the identity of the Blackpool Combat Club has kind of been shaken quite a lot, especially more recently. But I think it started ever since Regal left, because of course it's literally called the Blackpool Combat Club. So, Regal. It's even Moxley even said, like, in the interview ages ago when the group was first starting or whenever it was, it's like they want to keep Regal's name in professional wrestling some way somehow, and that was like kind of their way of doing that. It's like Regal's not there anymore, so it's like they're not. Regal, of course, helped the image of like what they were trying to portray with the group at the time, because Regal's just so great at what he does on screen as a character, he really drove it home, but now we all enjoy it because it's fucking Bryan Danielson, John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and the young up-and-coming, very well-liked and good wrestler in Wheeler Yuta as well. So there's a lot to like, but like I said, the directions and the identity of the group has been kind of, I don't know.
The most important thing they could do is prioritize the individual assets at play and really think about what is the best role for Danielson and Moxley. Because I love Claudio, but they're the two most important pieces, right?
Of course.
If you can get them two in a way where they overlap and aren't completely in contrast to one another, you can go on with it. If not, then you need to sacrifice it. Now, I think we've said this a million times. I would like to see Moxley in kind of big fight era, and just talking trash and single programs. That's what I'd like to see him do. Danielson is complicated because he just loves being a heel. So much so that even when you're pushing him as a babyface and he has one eye, he still will just enjoy. He will relish the chance to lean heel on occasion. The Eddie is a bum thing is peak Bryan, right? It's like he can't help himself. He has to just be a dick. It's complicated. Claudio and Yuta to me are just better as they're better being heels to me. So it's interesting, man. It's kind of it's a good issue to have in a lot of ways because it's like, man, we've got to figure out what to do with Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli and these guys. But it is still something I think they need to solve nonetheless after the classic is done. So time will tell.
We will. Okay. Pick another match at random here. El Hijo del Vikingo versus Black Taurus for the AAA Mega Championship. This was also added very recently, and it's a cool matchup to see, man. Black Taurus is one of the best bases in wrestling, legitimately. Vikingo, when he's got a good base, he can do some pretty spectacular things, even when he hasn't, to be honest. But, he's going to go for it. And I think we're going to see something quite spectacular is the word I'm going to go for.
I tend to agree. Yeah. This feels like could steal the show, doesn't it? Really, it feels like the one. I mean, I think the Jay Briscoe, the fight to honor Jay Briscoe is probably going to be the match of the night. But this is definitely within reach of being the match that's like on everyone's mind when the show ends. Vikingo had the match. Was it WrestleMania weekend, the Ring of Honor show where he wrestled Commander? And they opened and just went berserk, did everything they could possibly do.
That sounds right, yeah.
And that got a lot of buzz. And, you know, I think stylistically this actually may blow people away even more because of the base element. Like, I think this is going to rock. And also, again, as I mentioned with Filthy Tom, this is not like going on sixth among 13 matches on Full Gear. Like on this show, if you're looking at this show as the booker, you kind of need this one to hit, right? Let's be honest. This show is not as loaded as some of those 8. Like, you need this one to deliver. I'm pretty sure it will. But what I mean by that is it will have more space and more freedom to go completely berserk, which is the ideal mode for the King in particular. So, and Black Taurus is looking to, you know, this is an opportunity for him, man. Mm-hmm. We were talking about last night about his Impact run, which has been like unhinged. He's been there for a while too, man. It's crazy. So it's a huge moment for him. Vikingo knows one way to operate with these kind of spotlights. Stylistically, they mesh. I mean, I think this thing's going to be nuts, honestly. This will be, Texas crowd. I think this one's going to be fun. I mean, it's going to be a good time.
It could be, like you said, very, very likely this is a potential show stealer. But yeah, it just made me laugh. Like AO was saying yesterday, how, like, you know, he saw a clip of Tommy Dreamer, Death Valley Driver to Black Taurus through a table, and he just had to think to himself, like, is this the best America has to offer for Black Taurus? You know, so hopefully this is the start of something better, you know, because he's very, very talented. Like, I know, if you're a purist, excuse the pun, you know, you may see the mask and be like, God, Jesus Christ, you know, like, right, you know? But he's a very, very good worker.
He's actually awesome, yeah. He's and honestly, that exact purist that you're describing would genuinely pop for his work more than most of the modern guys because of what his skill set is. So he's tremendous. I'm trying to figure out here. I apologize if it looks I'm distracted, but I wanted to find when he actually first worked for Impact. So he did some dates in 2019, like a couple, which is funny in itself. It appears he became a regular once in February 2021, which is insane.
It's nothing.
Because I was thinking, I covered some of that stuff back in the distraction. I was convinced of it. I wanted to make sure. So yeah, it's been legitimately 3 years. So God bless him.
Jesus Christ. Keith Lee versus Shane Taylor. This is some interesting matchmaking, you know, at this point of Big Keith Lee's career. You know, you'd assume that he's getting ready for a World's End match with Swerve. Yeah, Swerve. So I don't know, Joe. I think this could be a struggle, but there is a chance that this can be quite an awesome sprint, you know. 2 big black dudes in there. He can always produce fireworks, you know. He can always happen.
This may have the biggest distance between floor and ceiling, right? It's
yeah.
I think length is huge for this. If you look at, I think an interesting way of looking at this is Joe's matches with both men. That's not me talking about myself in the third person. I'm talking, of course, about the fella that's behind me, the former Ring of Honor TV champ. In Chicago, he had the match with Shane Taylor where they gave it like 6 minutes, right? And it's like, I thought that came off quite well. The Keith Lee match, on the other hand, had a little bit more time. I think it was pretty clear why that was an error, quite personally speaking. If this goes 6 to 8, I think they can have some fun. We go beyond that, I think we may have some issues. I will say, last year at Final Battle, Shane Taylor was like inspired by a crowd that really got behind him in Texas. I think that's worth noting here because this match has much more juice, and that was the tag match they did with that fellow who was an MMA fighter.
Oh my God. What was his name, bro? Oh, fuck.
JD Griffey, I think. JD Griffey. DJ Griffey. Either way, if he got up for that one and was fired up for that one, then I think he's going to be pretty. I like Shane. He's
He's pretty
nowhere
good,
near.
man.
Yeah, he's nowhere near as dynamic as Keith, but I like the in fire and intensity he brings. I'm hoping he's going to bring some of that out of Keith. That's my big thing
Yeah,
here.
I was gonna say like
Because Keith he's just, he doesn't really look particularly inspired a lot of time out there. So hopefully it goes well, man. I have my doubts. Again, biggest X factor is time. It's like this thing needs to be a sprint. Bombs, as you mentioned. Don't ask Shane to work his leg. No reason for it.
A couple of super chats before we keep it moving. Willie 499, appreciate you. Happy Friday. Some decent graps tonight, but nothing takes more priority than watching the Pistons lose their 22nd straight all-time losing record on the way.
Incredible.
I mean, I hope you enjoy your night with her. So Jizzle 199, appreciate you as always. AEW certainly needs Daniel Bryan more than Blackpool Combat Club Bryan Danielson. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I tend to agree. It's one of those things where I think what he enjoys most is not necessarily his most valuable role. I think whenever he's been positioned as a babyface, you've seen how honestly how transcendent that can be. But he can't help himself. He wrestles 4 weeks in a row. He's going to do something heelish. It's just you need to rein him in that regard, I think sometimes. But I mean, when he first came in, he just decided I'm just going to be a heel. Fuck it, it's boring. So I think there's truth to that. Honestly, it's it's one of those deals where what's best for the roster may not necessarily be what's most thrilling for him to actually do. That's really the case there.
Hush, $2. Appreciate it as always. We're feeling a triple threat at Royal Rumble with Randy Orton, and Styles. No, I'm not. Just give me the single. You don't need to throw Styles in there, bro. There's no need for it, even in storyline, really. Styles obviously has his grudges with the bloodline and stuff, of course, but just let Orton and Roman Reigns do the thing, So
yeah, I'm not as against it in this case because I do have my concerns about the Roman Randall match.
They're gonna have an aura off, Joe.
Yeah, that's good for a few minutes, but I don't know what they do for the rest of it.
The first 90 seconds is absolutely just going to be them staring at each other,
Yeah, I'm honestly, I don't mind either of those scenarios. The AJ thing is we both gave Ibu some shit, and I think rightly so, because it was very aggressive the way he phrased it. But the AJ thing is kind of wild. He does feel kind of like we have an afterthought. It's very unfortunate. I mean, these things happen if you stick around.
Yeah, I still like AJ Styles, but I like AJ Styles whilst also being realistic about my expectations of AJ Styles in 2023. I'm definitely not where Ibu is. Hence why we kicked the shit out of it. But we did. He's lesser. He'll probably slander AJ Styles, but hopefully not that aggressively going forwards. But what did he say? He was like, who the hell could possibly care about AJ Styles? And it was like, well, hold on. Big Al. Big Alan.
I was so mad. This piece of shit, he messages me every week about how DIY did on Raw. And I'm not allowed to be excited about AJ Styles. What a character.
Disgusting. That's what makes it disgusting. He's telling us about the progress of Bronson Reed and Johnny Gargano. And it's like, come on, man. Let's enjoy AJ. It's an all-timer. I legitimately think AJ has a very underrated greatest of all time, okay? So that's where I'm at.
He's unbelievable.
Big Alan,
He's one of those guys who's just a victim of just you take him for granted because he's been around for so long. It's like he's been a constant. He's faded in the last few years. He's also in his mid-40s. He's entitled to do that after being a constant for that long. His peaks are... To me, it's he's two primes of his physical prime of 2005 is one of the most freakish wrestlers I've ever seen, the most godly meathead wrestler imaginable. And then his absolute peak to me is around 2014, that range, through probably 2016, 17, where he was still a physical specimen, could do, but his psychology and selling in that time. AJ Styles is one of the great salesmen ever, and he never gets brought up in that conversation. And I'm not talking about bumping. His bumping's obviously great. Go for it. Watch a match where he sells his limb. That dude's incredible at that. All-time great wrestler is the point anyway. So take that, Ibu of Wrestle Purists.
Co-sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, Keith Lee, Shane Taylor. We'll see how that goes. Where do I want to go to next? We'll go to the I Quit match: Tony Nese versus Ethan Page, and I'm very interested in this again. See what Ethan Page can show us, because very much like the Kenny Omega match, I did say going into that. Ethan Page, I've always thought he's a solid worker. He's capable on the mic. I thought some people online were very, very harsh on him, in terms of rating his ability. I think he's always been very capable in that sense. So I went into that Kenny Omega match, like, show me something. And I thought he did. I thought he had a good performance out there with Kenny. Kenny's obviously Kenny, though, Kenny in Canada as well. So, I think this match, obviously, it'll be a lot more expansive with it being an I Quit match. Tony Nese, 205 regular from the glory days. Not my favourite from 205, but he was a good servant to the brand, wasn't he, Joe?
He was. I like Tony Nese. He's just, he's Tony Nese. And at the end of the day, I mean, there's only so much you can say about him, really. He's a good wrestler, great look, but, he's Tony Nese. This is dangerously Sapolsky, this match. When I saw this graphic, I must admit, I had it scared me a bit. I wondered if the Empire had struck back. I think they're going to have some big ideas. I think they're going to work really hard. My concern for this is, while they've actually built it on TV, the amount of people that are there tonight that are actually watching the TV, unfortunately, is going to be very minimal. And I think that could be tough, especially because we saw they've moved like 1,000+ tickets post the Briscoe match announcement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Folks, those people did not buy tickets because they heard about this I Quit match. And that's not a knock at Ethan and Tony. No one sees the TV. So my advice would be, even if you have big ideas, they should go nuts from the bell. Do not work an epic based on the build you're doing on the TV show, because unfortunately most people are not going to be aware of it. So I like Ethan. We agree on him being kind of a guy who's still valuable and has something to offer. I'm glad Tony Nese has got honestly, the 205 Live thing is kind of an apt comparison, right? He's got a place where he can kind of be a player. So I think there's a chance it's good. I think it will benefit. I would put it on early. I wouldn't put this late in the show because I've built it on TV. I would get this early and let them do something crazy, let them bleed or something, Something nuts.
I think, definitely got to let them bleed, brother.
Yeah.
Because where else is blood going to be in this?
In the Briscoe match, where they.
I was going to say you can never write that off,
Yeah, I think those two will be. I mean, Ethan Page, I definitely think will get juice in this show, and I think he's going to really try and make this like a big moment and signature moment for his kind of rebuild. So I hope that comes off.
Yeah, man. Hopefully it works out for him, because, like we said, we both think he's more than capable. So, but okay, we have a survival of the fittest 6-way match for the vacant ROH TV title, and it includes Dalton Castle, Lee Moriarty, Lee Johnson, Cole Fletcher, Commander, and a mystery contestant, Joe Hulbert. Who do we think this could be?
Okay, so before I go any further, I'm aware, or I think I'm aware anyway, that the 90-day no compete things are not up yet, right?
No, I think it's next week.
Would you agree with me that it is feasible that a couple of the fellas could get themselves out of those 90 days a little bit early? Would you agree there's some guys who had such a long career in WWE that if they asked, they would be let out to go and work Final Battle? Because I think there is someone who lives in Texas who I think is in play here. I think Shelton could be this guy. I cannot see a world in which Shelton Benjamin says, can I get let out of my 90 day? They're like, nope, Final Battle is off. I think that could be. So I think Shelton's in play.
Shelton in the 6-man.
Especially in Texas. And it's also
like a few years, but we've seen some things when that happens.
Honestly, though, do you not think that's like the perfect spot? Like, you can just plug in his signature stuff, see how he looks, because Shelton's, God bless him, he looks great physically, but he's getting up there. He's nearly 50, So I think it'd be a nice spot to like see how Shelton's doing, and then you can kind of you can adjust. I will say, like, I think you want it to be someone that people are going to be, that's worth doing a surprise for. Some of the names I've seen suggested, I think you'd be better off just announcing, to be honest. So
Mansoor and Mace already did. Yeah, they were on a DPW
of
show,
course, yeah,
weren't
yeah.
they? Charlie.
Yeah.
Brian Keith is my safe guess, but Shelton is a solid assumption. Yeah, Brian Keith has got to be in play, I think.
Would you not just announce him though? I like Brian Keith, but like, would you do that as a
also a
surprise?
very. Oh man, he's over in Texas, bro.
Yeah.
He's
Kiwi
over.
says low key.
Kiwi's insane. Bro. That's what he's.
Let him cook.
He's just trying to pop or something. Yeah,
I'll take Shelton. I think I'll take Shelton.
I think it might have been Young Dukes who Johnny Honor Club.
Oh God. I saw some buzz for and when I say buzz, I mean literally just people guessing.
Someone said Necro Butcher.
I saw someone suggest Leo, and like I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by using Ring of Honor to kind of like rebuild that relationship, because Leo's said that like the Tony Khan thing is not. That was just a thing where they opted to go their separate ways. It wasn't like anything crazy in the end. I think people have a misconception of how that would actually be the most exciting one. Leo Rush having like a TV title run that us nerds can enjoy quietly, I think could be cool.
That could be tremendous.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and not hope too much for that though, because I don't want to get disappointed if it is just someone who's like pretty decent, Like,
right.
I don't think they're gonna shit the bed with this one though. I don't think it's going to be like a game changer, but I think
Nor should it be really in this match, right? I mean,
and if it is Brian Keith, he has to have like a really stand-up performance in it. Like he needs to be positioned to, and there needs to be like the set pieces for him to do that. Bob Fish. A couple of people said Bob Fish.
Who is the likeliest winner among the 5 guys announced? Who have we got? Commander. You don't think Fletcher? They love having dudes carry Ring of Honor belts around that TV show, bro. I would like Lee Moriarty. I'd like to see him.
Who would I like? Lee Moriarty or Lee Johnson?
That'd be fun. I'm not sure that's going to happen either way. I think they're 2 of the least likely options, sadly, but time will tell. Very interesting. Not really, but sort of. The prestigious Ring of Honor World's Television title means a lot. That means a lot. That belt, bro. You know it. Not the kind of thing you just give up willy nilly. It's big business.
Middle of the ring.
Yeah. So hopefully the surprise pops me, because otherwise I'm not going to pretend that I'm on the edge of my seat for the rest of what we've got here, because there's some talented guys, but it's just it's a 6-man match. Like it's whatever. It's whatever.
Comic Critical, $2. Appreciate it. Is Mustafa Ali still under a 90-day? Yes, I believe he is. Shelton would just be like, because it's Shelton Benjamin, he's dedicated decades to this business at that company, so maybe. Like Joe said, if Shelton went to the offices and was like, come on, it's like, but who knows?
Yeah,
there's a few options it could be.
Shelton, I think, is the guy who I'd be. I mean, I think Dolph also, but I could see Dolph not being bothered enough to make that.
What if it's just Samoa Joe and he wins the title back?
That would be incredible. Need to get that hunger back, brother.
Yeah, a lot of people think Dalton Castle's a very likely winner as well, and we know they like him, so it wouldn't surprise me either. Brainbuster 499. He'll be at Final Battle. Can't wait for Goldberg to squash all the guys in the TV girls match. Love the Athena interview, by the way. Wrestle Purist on top. Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate it.
Goldberg.
Loaded super chat there.
Goldberg,
Huh?
what do you reckon, Joe?
Goldberg versus Cole Fletcher in the Montel Invitational match. They go 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Sorry. The TV title being auto corrected as TV Girls match was insane, by the way. I have to note. But shout out to Brainbuster. Bro sounded like he was doing a like anti-wokes super chat. He said, "I can't wait for Goldberg to squash with the guys in the TV Girls match." Brainbuster in his
Goldberg's
Eric
gonna come
Bischoff
through
era.
and mow down all these liberals.
Yeah. He's in his Bischoff era. Brainbuster. Anyway, what's up
You
next?
see that clip of Bischoff where he's like, CM Punk could be the biggest financial success in the history of wrestling, and he's like, I said it.
I said it. He's like, Bish, because he gets aggregated sometimes, Bish is convinced that he's like on TV with like 5 million people watching him, noting down his opinions. He said it. Bischoff said it. Yelling in the streets of Chicago. Pepsi's back in stock. Man. You know, Bischoff's on. Yeah. What a character.
It's a shame Punk won't bury Bischoff in his next promo, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think he'll do the random shots at Bischoff in WWE. But who knows?
No, the best Bischoff Punk moment ever was when the Collision premiere happened, and for a minute Bischoff flirted with being a collider. Do you remember this? He did like a review about how Collision was the best TV show he'd seen in years, and he rated all the segments 1 to 10. And he went the whole way. Yeah, and he went the whole way with it. Where like, I remember Dash, she introduced Buddy as Buddy Murphy, and Eric was like, "Only a fucking loser would care about that. This is who cares? We all make mistakes." It's like you know for a fact if it was on Dynamite, he'd have been like, "Look at the unprofessionalism here," you know. What a grift! God bless. Oh dear.
$40. What if it's Rick? Tony tells him, "Have fun, old man." It's not going to be an old man, you know.
Well, it might be an old man. I just know it'll be Rick. To be honest.
Not that old man though.
No.
All right. Let's get to the meat and potatoes, Joel. But let's talk about Mark Briscoe, FTR versus the Blackpool Combat Club. Brian, Claudio, Moxley got the big boys out for this one. Tribute to Jay Briscoe. Of course, like I said at the start of the show, Final Battle last year, very, very famous for the double dog collar match between FTR and the Briscoes. And that's the bar, brother. That's the bar, brother. You know, we go out there and make everyone proud. You know, I'm very, very, very fired up for this. Dax has done videos on Twitter just talking into the camera about the importance of this match. You know, FTR have had like a good 10 days rest or something. You know, we know those boys are hurting. Mark Briscoe don't need no rest, and fucking Bryan Danielson, Marks and Claudio. So I don't have to. You know,
there's a lot here, man.
There's a lot
here. Yeah, Dragon wrestling on Final Battle, Moxley being on Ring of Honor in general is kind of weird. The FTR team with Mark Briscoe, there's an awful lot to sink your teeth into. One question, because I genuinely don't know the answer. Have we found the answer yet to whether this is actually a fight without honor, or was that graphic just an error? Because if you notice, they've changed the graphic. So Tony announced it's a fight to honor Jay, but the graphic said fight without honor. And then the last couple of days, the graphic changed from fight without honor to fight to honor Jay. Now, but to be clear,
the graphic I'm looking at doesn't say either of those things.
Even better.
I think it says fight to honor Jay. Yeah, I think so. But I'm zooming in here.
And to be clear, I don't mind either way, so I'm not trying to be critical here. But when it was announced as fight without honor, I was kind of like, it's a weird. It was a weird. It kind of caught me off guard. Yeah, because it's like But then Dax did a promo about how he's going to fight and bleed everywhere. So, look, either way, it's 6 of the great pro wrestlers doing an all-star tag to honor one of the greatest tag team wrestlers ever. I'm probably the ultimate Ring of Honor wrestler, really, when we think about grand scheme of things. Not even a probably necessary, really. 20 years, world champion twice, tag team. So, I mean, this is going to be pretty powerful. I'm a little bit concerned about the state I'll be in once this is done, to be totally honest. The Briscoes FTR matches, I've kind of I did a thread about this last week. I've kind of accepted my fate, and that's probably like, I don't mean this in a miserable way. I mean it in like a positive way. That's probably about as good as it's going to get for me, in wrestling. I mean that with love and sincerity, and that, like, I just look back on where I was at, how much I needed those matches at that point. Like because 2022 was there's a lot going on. This thing got started, and so we were doing a lot of that stuff, and I was trying to do the late night grin at a rate that was dangerously unhealthy. And we had these FTR Briscoes matches that were like we had spaced out across the year. I remember talking to you when they announced the second one, and I remember the thing that people never remember is the third one was like a total. That thing got announced the Wednesday before the pay-per-view.
Yeah, by the guns.
Yes, by the guns, and everyone that cared about that rivalry and was like invested was like, "Oh man, I hope they don't I hope they don't get put in a position where they can't follow what they've already done." And for a range of reasons, some tragic, of course, that will be the match that's actually most remembered. I think you've seen that already, right? In the short year that's followed it, the dog collar one. So, I say all that to say that FTR Briscoes thing means a lot to me, and I think with that in mind, this is going to be a pretty tough watch at times. To be honest, I know that Dax referred to them as what did he say? Dem top guys. Was that his closing line or something? I think they may do some like camo business tonight, or do some kind of United look of some kind. Maybe not. We'll see. But either way, this can be a treat for anyone who loves these dudes, because my goodness, what a time, what a match.
Absolutely a treat. I think that word describes it very, very properly, this is a treat, they didn't have to do this. Athena mentioned in the interview that you did with me yesterday, so these are just doing this out of just wanting to do it, wanting to do a tribute to Jay. It's not like Tony went to him and said, you have to do this match, and yeah, you look at the talent involved, the meaning behind it, what it means to you as individually as a fan is pretty much a close on a lot of it,
Right.
So for each fan it will be different, but this one means a lot, this one means a lot. So I'm very fired up for it. And then because it's like even the Mark Briscoe Jay Lethal match, like it meant a lot, and I thought it was a genuinely tremendous match.
Oh yeah, it's great.
But it's it's not, if you just fantasy booking, if you fantasy booking a match, you're not going to be like Mark Briscoe and Jay Lethal, you know what I mean? Like, whereas this is genuinely like it ticks that box as well, So this could be special. This could be special.
Yeah, it's also different because like the Lethal match was so soon after what happened. It was like, while it was a celebration of Jay, that was just too much to it was tough, wasn't it? It was brutal that time. We're almost a year removed, and I think the fact that we're still doing things like this to celebrate and honor Jay Briscoe, I think says a lot about what he meant to Ring of Honor. I'm thinking about it a lot this week because I've mentioned before, Final Battle is like a weird tradition that only exists to me. Like it's saying, like every year for as long as I can recall, is a thing that I make sure I watch Final Battle. When Ring of Honor was broke, when like 2019 Ring of Honor, I couldn't watch it, but Final Battle I watch. It's what I've always done.
Big Briscoe's match, brother.
And I was just thinking about it earlier. Like, it's how many of those shows did I hit play on and think at least the Briscoes are on? Like I was really pondering it, like just thinking back to all those memories, and it's with that is a very sad feeling, and it is very bittersweet. But for that reason, this feels like kind of the conclusion of that in some ways, in a strange way, honestly. Just kind of putting a bow on it best we can. So it'll be special. I'm obviously, very, very excited. Can't wait.
Absolutely. Speaking of exciting times, things to be excited for, Athena looking like she's main eventing again versus Billy Starks for the ROH women's title. And this is the match that they've been building to for 6, 7?
Yeah, it's like 6 months. Yeah,
6 months. And as I mentioned yesterday, there's been a video uploaded to the AEW YouTube or the Ring of Honor YouTube, and it's like a 2 hour video of like the full timeline of the storytelling of what they've both been doing in the lead up to this. And he's probably, as you mentioned as well, Joe, yesterday, it's probably one of the best bits of storytelling that they've done in a minute. So great spot for Billy Starks. Of course, she's literally like what 19. And it's not even like she's been given this as like a charity spot, but in like this is where she should be, like this is where she should be. It makes all the sense in the world. Athena is one of the best champions, if not the best champion in wrestling right now, and she's definitely going to want to make a point if, as we assume, Billy Starks goes over, to do that in a way where it's emphatic, in the sense of like Billy Starks is here. And she's been on a lot of people's radars for a while now, but she could really have like a real big breakout moment in this main event.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not totally convinced tonight is the night for her to win. I could just see them going further with this. That's pure guesswork. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine.
But either way, I think this is a great example of what we've celebrated a lot about Athena's reign, which is an absolute pride in elevating others and making people better. And obviously, it wasn't something I was going to delve into too deep in an interview. Athena is great in that she always kind of walks that line between fiction and non-fiction, which I appreciate. And she did a wonderful job of giving us some great stuff while doing that. But as a viewer, I mean, it's very apparent how much passion has gone into let's make sure that Billy Starks is getting the development she needs and getting the spotlight she needs. And look, let's be completely real about it. We don't have to look far to find other examples. There's a world in which Billy is floating around doing absolutely nothing under that umbrella right now. I mean, let's be honest. And that's not a reflection of her. It's just the way that kind of I guess wrestling universe. Yeah, it is what it is. Instead, she has had a chance to do some kind of promo or character work every single week. She's having a chance, and now she gets to wrestle, one of the best wrestlers in the game in a main event match. And she's earned it. Let me be clear. When I say the chance, she deserves that. But it's awesome to see how much thought has gone into it, how much effort's gone into it. It's been a home run as an angle. Best it can be on that platform. They had a great angle even last night where Athena was all busted up, and it was tremendous. I'm really hopeful for the match. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I don't have some concerns about Billy working like a main event epic. I do. I think she's very talented, but she's also 19 years old.
So good.
Of course, but I'm just being honest.
That's what balances it for me.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. To be clear, I'm sure it'll be good. My only concern is that they go beyond what I think Billy should be doing right now. But I would like nothing more for when, we do Worldwide or whatever on Monday to be like, this thing was a home run. Because the build has been and deserves that. And I'm just rooting for the match, honestly. The result is almost secondary because it has that NXT takeover thing where it's like, if Athena loses, you just know that means that she's going to be on AEW. And if she wins, it's like, cool, she gets to still be the ring. It's one of those deals, right? Like we used to have with takeover all the time. So I'm just rooting for the match to be, whatever this build, because the build's been tremendous. So I'm hopeful.
I think your concerns are absolutely valid, and I think they probably will come to fruition in the sense that it probably will go a little bit past what Billy should be doing and what she's capable of in terms of doing an extended blow-off main event. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is a big, big spot. But I do think that Athena is that good that it'll kind of paper over the cracks for it, and it'll still overall be a very big success for her. Billy, I'm talking about. So I think Athena is going to make a real big point of making sure that this is perfect for Billy. Even if Athena does get the win, it'll be one of those valiant performances. Like, of course it will. So
yeah, Billy's getting the belt eventually. To be clear, it's just a matter of whether it's tonight or WrestleMania weekend, whatever it may be. But Billy's, we should note and reiterate again, we're talking about a main event match here. We're both very aware of how capable Billy Starks is. That goes without saying. Very, very talented.
She's game as fuck as well.
Yes, she is. She's going to be taking some crazy bumps.
I think it'll be a success. I think it'll be a success. And I'll gladly be wrong because if I'm going to put my money on any woman, Athena is
sounds good to me, mate.
It's what I feel happy with, So yeah, that's Ring of Honor Final Battle. That's obviously our longest preview that we're going to do. And let's talk some TV, Joe Hall. But WWE SmackDown There's been a few reports about people potentially being on the show, all coming from PW Insider. AJ Styles could be returning tonight. Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo are expected at the tapings. Not sure if they'll be on SmackDown or main event or something, but of course with the Santos Escobar element, it's very, very likely they could show up on SmackDown any day now. And it was also noted by PW Insider earlier today that spotted in Wisconsin, where SmackDown is tonight, was Axiom and Gable Steveson. So yeah, there's a lot of maybes showing up on the shows. Now AJ Styles, of course, has been out for a minute. It would be very, very cool to see him back because, of course, he was meant to come back like 2 weeks ago and he got delayed, and there was people kind of getting a bit worried about what's going on there with AJ. So he does say from PW so that he is expected to return tonight. So fingers crossed that it happens and he's all good. And we get AJ Styles back.
Yeah, I'm still reeling a little bit from the report of someone spotted Axiom. Just the idea of that has popped me, but how?
Those PW Insider reports, bro. They've got eyes everywhere when it comes to stuff like that.
I know that we're fully aware of what Axiom looks like, but my point there was I think you could probably walk past me and I'd be oblivious. So credit to whoever spotted that. I'm happy AJ's back. I would like nothing more for him to have a nice run to kind of close out what has been a great run overall. His WWE run has exceeded every single expectation.
Absolutely.
So it'd be nice for him to
tied the Undertaker, bro.
Yeah, he's had a wild run. So it'd be nice for that to kind of be reflected here with this, what you assume to be the last couple of years of it. So yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued what they do with him because there is a thing there with the bloodline, as was mentioned in the earlier super chat. I know you're very scared of the triple threat, but I do think it's a feasible point to make. Two guys who were hurt by the bloodline, doing that to kind of, how would you put? I mean, a triple threat would, in theory, kind of disguise some of the weaknesses of the older fellas. So,
you call them weaknesses, I'll call them
charm, quirks.
yeah,
maybe so. Yeah, I'm glad he's back, boy.
Andrew 199 mentioned, since it's relevant, Big LG's knee is magically fixed. ... Modern medicine. Apparently, they've been. Where's the PW Insider report again?
They worked house shows a couple weeks
ago. That's what they noted as well. But they've been working house shows recently, so they haven't made the return to TV yet. So maybe that'll be with AJ tonight. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Andrew also said earlier on 199. Imagine Fletch with a belt compared to his stable. Takeshita, Hobbs, it's just like put the belt on Cole. God bless.
I could absolutely see him being there because they love having that, right? The guys on TV just having a belt to carry. They love doing that deal. So
yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Karan, 100 rupees. Appreciate you, brother, as always. Shout out to the big man for the Athena interview. When Athena walked the shoot in kayfabe line when asked about AEW, Joe almost pumped his fist. Lol. He did.
It was very fun. I was very excited. I was glad that because when we were doing it, I was obviously trying to make sure I got all my stuff in order. But we were close enough to the end there that I knew it had gone okay. And then I was just thinking, hopefully we get some good quotes that will pop Monty's page. And then she started talking about like Tony and Julian. I was like, oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, it was tremendous.
Push, $2. Appreciate you. Cody's MJF comments thoughts. Big company man now. Well, I guess just now he's in a position where he can be honest about it. It's not like it's some rare hot take that Cody Rhodes thinks that MJF will be in WWE one day, because a lot of people think MJF will be in WWE one day. So, I think as well, when I always go back, I think it was the interview with Ariel when he first signed for WWE, and he talks about like just certain people, even though the schedule's crazy and that, certain people just fit WWE, they can just be in that mode. It just suits them better. And Cody, of course, put himself in that, in that bracket, And I think MJF as well would be one of the names that come to mind when you think of AEW people who may be better fit for WWE. MJF is on a lot of people's lists, So. Most people's lists, I don't think is a crazy thing to say.
No, not at all. It's also saying that he's actively suggested and hinted at and we're aware that a lot of it's character stuff. He still has put it out there regularly about bidding war and so on and so forth. He's so young. It's almost inevitable that he winds up there at some point. How old is Max now? 27?
26.
Yeah.
MJF. The old Google machine. 15th of March. He's 27.
He's 27 and he's already the world champion in AEW. It's, kind of goes without saying that at some point.
He's already been a ratings draw for like 2-3 years.
We were just talking about AJ Styles and his big run in WWE, and he went there when he was like 38 years old. So give you some perspective on how much time Max has got ahead of him. I'm pretty sure he'll end up there eventually. And to be clear, I think it'll be a long time. I think he's under contract with AEW for quite a while. But eventually, I'm sure it will happen. I have no doubt.
Mm-hmm. Will Chisholm, $5 appreciate you. Why does WWE keep trying to make Gable Steveson a thing? He's trash as a wrestler and as a person. Well, the thing is like, just because he's in Wisconsin doesn't mean that he's going to get like a promo on SmackDown or anything. Like he may just be in Wisconsin. It's obviously the wording's different to the AJ Styles report in the sense that the AJ Styles report's like he's going to be on SmackDown. Do you know what I mean? Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza, it's like they're expected at SmackDown. Do you know what I mean? So the Axiom and Gable Steveson was just like they're in the area. It would be unfortunate if they do try and make Gable Steveson a thing again. I think that the lesson that they should have learned from the Baron Corbin thing was like, okay, there is absolutely no chance this is going to work, bro. Because it's like, first time you put him in front of an actual crowd that wasn't the PC crowd, Baron Corbin became fucking prime Ricky Steamboat to that crowd, It was fucking crazy. It's not one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, he's a freak and a sick fuck, but not enough people know about it, and we can kind of keep it quiet. And you can't even do that with him, which I wouldn't recommend any promotion does. But we know it happens. There's a lot of freaky wrestlers out there that kind of go under the radar and stuff, or have got previous allegations in both companies. But Gable Steveson, obviously, he's high-profile allegations, high-profile name as well as an Olympic gold medalist, and ultimately, it's just a massive shame because he's clearly a fucking athletic specimen, Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. I remember the first clip I saw of him was him doing like a running, standing fucking backflip. I was like, Jesus Christ, I always thought he would end up in the UFC, to be honest, but ever since I found out about those allegations and stuff against him and, that weird case or whatever it was that happened, it's kind of like I'm not interested, I'm just not interested. And hopefully he's not on the show, hopefully it's just a thing where he's just in the area. I don't know. Get Daniel Kemp on the show.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because that's the one. I mean, I didn't see the match with Corbin,
it was crazy. It was crazy.
From the outside looking in, it kind of feels like they're aware that, like, to me, they've not really been trying to make him a thing because it's pretty apparent to them he's not going to be one. It's the way it's felt to me for a while. So, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, anyway. Karan, 100 rupees. I morbidly rewatched Golden Jet segment. Kenny starts it by saying, "Is that your Jerry coat? We should have known immediately." We should have.
That segment we did last night was... We started with, I led by saying it's just one segment, and then like we just went off the rails and just tore it to shreds because you couldn't help but do that once you started talking about it. There was so many issues with it. Very unfortunate.
So Jizzle 199, how do you rate Stats return run? I quite like the TBS total run, to be honest. I do think it could have been more and had a bit more meat to it because I thought the reason why it was good because of how good Stat is, in terms of like she was just having good matches given the opportunity to. But like I said, it would have been nice if she had something that had a bit more meat on the bone. And since she's dropped the belt, obviously we haven't really... feels like she's kind of... I'm sure she has been on TV, but it just feels like she hasn't, So, there is more to be done with Stat, but I don't think it's been like disgraceful or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, I think, we're pretty much in the same... In ring, I think she was pretty extraordinary considering what she's coming back from
Mm-hmm.
and how quickly. Like, she gave a few different women their best match. Creatively, it was pretty much just get out of stats way and let her wrestle, which is, to be clear, better than some of their options, which is where they actively hinder the wrestling, but still isn't particularly engaging or dynamic. And you could have had more interesting like angles and stories within that reign. But from her point of it, I mean, she's not the best promo, but like inside the ropes, Chris is honestly one of their most consistent wrestlers on the whole entire card. So yeah, I think she's done great. The creative, as usual, is kind of undercooked, but is what it is at this point, sadly.
Yeah, elsewhere on SmackDown, we've got the Intercontinental Title Tournament for number one contender. We've got Kevin Owens versus Austin Theory, Grayson Waller versus Carmelo Hayes. And Carmelo Hayes and Waller have worked together a couple of times before, so hopefully they are very familiar with each other. And Carmelo Hayes can have a really good showing here because, you assume that he's going to be quite over because Hayes, because Waller's, he gets pretty decent heat. He's just kind of like your typical WWE heel at the moment. Yeah. He's very much slid into the role that many expected him to quite quickly. Which testament to him, man. Shout out Grayson Waller, he's doing his thing. Nothing spectacular, but fair play. But yeah, Carmelo Hayes. I hope he has a really good showing.
Yeah,
because I know some people are kind of on the fence with him. I know some people are quite critical of him, but I do think he is. I wouldn't say he's undeniable, but I think he's very likely that he goes on to be quite a big star. To be honest,
there's something there for sure. I don't love his in ring, but that's not really important, right? Like, there's definitely something to his presentation and his personality. I think that he could connect with. I think this is really good matchmaking for the reasons you mentioned. Guy he's familiar with. It's not going to be like he's trying to find chemistry with guy. He's fully aware of who he's of the style of guy he's wrestling. And as you mentioned, Grayson Waller gets heat, even if not in the most sort of nuanced or cunning way. He's a fine heel, and the people will boo him, which allows the babyface making their night easier. So I think it's good matchmaking. I think there's a good chance he shines pretty bright here. I don't think it will be anything where, especially because a lot of my issues with Melo's in-ring are like, I think some of his stuff kind of struggles when it's stretched, right? And when he's trying to wrestle epics. With Ilya, it's different, but with other guys, I think you see that. This won't be that. So I think he'll look really good here, honestly. I'm pretty hopeful for this.
Of course, Roman Reigns is back to handle some business, Joe.
He is. He's
Big
indeed.
Rome decided short to work this week. Big Pop, Big Rome.
We're going to get one of those ones where he's like, he's talking to Jimmy Uso in his locker room and Paulie's doing the face.
Yeah, there'll be loads of that. Like, the show will be built around Roman segments in the locker room, and he'll come out at the end or at the start and do like a big promo segment. And he'll go face to face with Randy Orton, and it'll just be, the big stars, brother.
It's so funny, man. I was saying it to you, like, that's the whole hook of the show. Is like Roman Reigns is going to be there. That's pretty awesome. Good for Roman. And I say that like not in any way with to knock it, because I'm probably going to check out what Roman does tomorrow when I'm just on the show. So yeah, good for Big Rome.
Mm-hmm. All right. Then Rampage. There's the trios match that has been hyped by the people that were there on Wednesday, which is Commander Penta, Vikingo versus Top Flight and Andretti. So yeah, hopefully he can live up to the hype. I'm sure he'll at least be pretty good. So there's that. The Von Erichs will also be wrestling as well. They're doing double duty tonight on our TV screens, brother.
They are. With incredible opponents too, combined opponents of just an extraordinary lineup. This big trios match is like, I'm almost scared to watch it because some of the phrasing of the praise for this match is, let me be very clear, I'm sure this will be great, but some of the praise has been so extraordinary, I'm almost like, oh God. I don't even want to see, because I know I don't want to be the guy who's like, it's fine. So hopefully it pops me as much as it seems to put everyone in the building. It sounds like it was awesome, so I'm sure it'll be a blast. And I mean, to be fair, you don't have to kind of imagine particularly, tough. It's not tough, not a stretch exactly, right, to see this being fun. I mean,
Yeah, of course.
Talent involved. I could see it being a real a crowd pleaser. Whether it will
You
be
know,
one of the greatest wrestling matches ever made, I don't know, but time will
maybe.
tell. Maybe
Uh,
Edge and Randy did it right, so
before we get to Collision, I also wanted to make note of CMLL. I've got a show tonight. Andrade returns to CMLL, which is a big occasion for all fans of CMLL, AAA, Lucha in general. But yeah, it looks like he's going to be doing some stuff with Mystico. He's in a trios match: Mystico, Atlantis Jr., Star Jr. versus Andrade El Idolo, Soberano Jr., and Angel De Oro. There's a lot of talent in this match, brother. Arena
yeah,
Mexico. You know, this could be a treat, Joe. But I can't lie.
indeed. And as the chat mentions, this will also be CJ Perry's debut in the promotion, also for anyone keeping score at home. So yeah, this will be interesting. I'm going to try and see how just see kind of how Andrade feels in this scene. It's going to be interesting seeing him in CMLL once again, and it's been a while, right? Been a long while. So it's also a different version of him, of course, it goes without saying. So that'll be interesting. On the show is the Rocky Romero match too,
Yep.
which it was in July, maybe their last match, him and Masquerade, which was like spectacular. One of Rocky's best matches. So I'm going to try and check that out too if I get time. I mean, it's always a loaded weekend, but I think one of these will probably work their way into the match guide. So I'll check out some of it, I'm sure.
Yeah, man, it's definitely a couple matches on this show to circle. I think it'll be a good one. And Arena Mexico, especially this year, it's been jumping, brother. You know, it's been
Yeah,
jumping.
had a
Get
great year.
Andrade in there, gonna have a face off with Mystico. You know, it's
I'm
gonna.
excited, man, because like they've had a great year. It's very obvious to me as someone who's not an expert on the matter, but like just checking in and out. And Andrade gives me like a kind of entry as a fan, you know, because like I'm invested in watching him wrestle, so it gives me something to latch onto also. So I'm excited.
Yeah, man. And yeah, Rocky Romero, Masquerade Dorada as well. Good stuff, bro. Anyone
Yeah,
who wants to watch it live, if you go to our page, we retweeted Lucha Blog, who he had to do like a 4-tweet thread to explain how it's to buy this thing. But yeah, man, if you go to our page, it shouldn't be too much of a scroll to find that Lucha. Or obviously, just go to Lucha Blog's page. But yeah, we're gonna finish up with this collision preview. We're going to talk about the Continental Classic, the Blue League, of course. We fucking love this Blue League. And we have, speaking of Andrade, we've got Andrade versus Claudio. We've got Kingston versus Garcia. We've got Brody versus Bryan Danielson. Joe, rank them in excitement levels.
Oh, that's tough, man, because this is Murder's Row. This is some serious craps. Brody and Bryan is the 1 seed because it is Bryan Danielson. He has one eye and he's wrestling a monster. I mean, it goes without saying that's the 1. I can't believe I'm about to do this, but I'm mad at myself. I'm about to say 2 is Claudio and Andrade because they haven't wrestled ever. When did they wrestle? When did they work in? They must have wrestled in WWE. They have to have. And unfortunately, the 3 seed here is 2 of my favorite wrestlers in the world, Daniel Garcia and Eddie Kingston, who also, by the way, have great chemistry. And the only reason they're 3rd for me is because I've seen them wrestle a few times before, and we basically know the result. So when that's the 3rd most exciting match of a lineup on TV, you're eating good, brother. Because Daniel Garcia and Eddie Kingston, I mean, that's like the peak collision combinations right there. If we're being real, that's tremendous. My God.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like you said, we're eating good, brother. We're eating good. We're eating big meals, brother. Eddie Kingston Garcia, Eddie has to win because he literally has to win, And we spoke about it yesterday. I don't think Garcia's win in the block, not in the league, should be against Eddie. So I think Brody would make more sense for that Garcia win. Andrade versus Claudio is...
It's dangerous.
Hell of a match going on right there.
So that Eddie
two
clip.
alphas.
Remember the Eddie clip you used to like where he goes, fearless, savage, dangerous, you know? that's Andrade and Claudio, I think. That's I'm trying to see here. Okay, Monty, I've done the research. They have
House
had
shows.
only one singles match ever.
A house
It
show.
was a house show in 2019. Yeah,
And so, because I was pretty sure they didn't work together on TV because it was like
yeah,
almost like two ships passing at night. You know, it was just
yeah.
they just
Different
didn't.
brands and
It's
things. Yeah,
yeah. So, but yeah, very fired up about that one. And Brody versus Brian. Can Brian slay the beast with
it's
one
gonna be
eye?
so awesome, bro. How red that dude's chest is gonna be by the end of this match. This is gonna, because we've mentioned this earlier. This is like I think both of our favorite versions of Brian. Ibu talks about it all the time too, right? When it's just simplified as fighting babyface. My God, we're in for a treat. This is the most he's going to be able to go in that direction of any match in the tournament. So Collision looks awesome. I mean, I always enjoy Collision, but this particular week looks wild.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and in collision fashion, hopefully the filler in between these three matches is like
Yeah,
good. That would be really nice, you know,
or
because what we've
funny.
got
It could
here,
be funny.
I
Could
know
be
we've had a
funny
lot. We've
too.
had a lot of funny recently. Abaddon, you know, it's
The Righteous.
yeah, it's been a lot of funny, man. I need a break, you know.
Our friend, the confirmed shoot, was informing me earlier. Monty, that the Ring of Honor. He said the Ring of Honor tag division is gearing up for vacated belts, and I said, "What does that mean?" And he said, "I'm going to read this to you. I want to get your live reaction to this. This is apparently what that means." Butcher and the Blade, the Workhorsemen, and the Infantry are now getting promo time. And he followed it up with also the Righteous. I
Oh
said, "Oh,
no.
they're really gearing up. They're getting ready for a big run down there, bro." So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, there's some good stuff in between the big matches.
I was going to ask you to rank those teams then, but I won't be that spoiled.
Nah, please. Workhorseman won, and the rest can fight out for the other
Yeah.
slots.
But yeah, Collision's looking good. Rampage
Mm-hmm.
has even got a couple matches on it that to get excited about. We got CMLL, Ring of Honor final battle tonight. Big Rome is in the house. With a lot of wrestling going on over the next just over 24 hours or so. And
Yeah,
we thought we'd do a little Friday afternoon
it's been
live
fun,
stream
man.
just to round it all up for everyone. Do a little preview and stuff. We got a few super chats, and then we'll get out of here. Keep it under 130. Keep it under 120 maybe.
My God.
Karan 100 rupees, appreciate it. With the C2 winding down, what lessons can AEW take for their TV moving on after that to maintain that quality?
Great
Well,
question.
for me, it's like there was always this thing of like there needs to be more wrestling, more action in that sense, and get back to like one of the strengths of AEW, which was the in-ring thing. And I guess it was just kind of a theory for a while, where it's like, if they do this, this will work. But it shows that it is actually working. So, more the same. You don't have to do a tournament
Yep.
or Continental Classic every week, but in the sense of matchmaking, give the fans something. Give your fans AEW that care so much about the in ring and that side of it. Give them something to fucking tune in for, man.
Yeah. That, and also, and I actually think this would be a good segment to do extend one day because I like the question. But the other one too, like in the top two, that one and in-ring stories are like I think increasingly a lost art on US TV, where the word story has like somehow become transferred to like backstage interactions, which I think is really unfortunate. The tournament has reminded some of the fellas like you can actually tell stories with the way you wrestle matches, the urgency to which you wrestle those matches, how you approach them. Like we've seen guys, I mentioned it a couple weeks ago. This was last week. The Swerve Mark Briscoe match, where Mark wrestled tactically at the start, and they said it's because he's cautious because he wants to stay in the tournament. That's something like to me,
Mark
WWE's
Briscoe.
doing their thing perfectly. But their thing, if we're being real, a lot of the time the matches among the stars like the least important thing, right? It's like it's the outcome and the post match, which is cool. That's fine.
See what
You
Mark
can
Briscoe saying that it's his rookie year.
that rules, but you can do the opposite with your matches. So
He's
yeah, I
his
think
dude.
there's a bunch of lessons. It's a great question though, and I mean the one thing is it will be you have to try and figure out like the reason these matches matter. I am a big proponent of some guys. Sometimes you just have guys wrestle a good wrestling match. But generally speaking, the tournament helps. It gives every match a built-in like this is why it's happening. So that's something you have to kind of a solution you have to find. I think.
Yeah, man. I enjoy Mark Briscoe a lot. Anyway,
He's good.
Will Chisholm $5. Graysonville, I think that's auto-corrected to from Grayson Waller, is what WWE and Vince wanted Theory on the mic. I mean,
Sure.
maybe. I mean, okay, whatever, Will Chisholm $5, appreciate it. I really want to see how Roman would look on AEW TV.
He looked
Hilarious.
very handsome, probably. Yeah, he probably looked similar, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
It would be
Tribal Chief, brother.
so surreal, though. Seriously, my goodness.
Matt McClure, $5, appreciate it. MJF is mid. This face run doesn't make him feel main event. AEW is in desperate need of a change at the top of the card. Cheers, lads. I'm stateside right now.
Love super chats like that. Just comes in, just says, I think this guy fucking sucks. Good job, fellas. Have a good day. It's like, make my job easy. I appreciate it. Good for you, Matt.
Massively appreciate it, mate. I think MJF he still feels like a big star. Like, even if I don't enjoy everything that he does at the moment, I still think he feels like a big star to the live audience and stuff. So,
Matt, he paid his money, so that's what I think, fellas. I'm
we've read out much
stateside.
worse, mate.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good super chat right there.
Yeah.
Putting his feet up stateside. But yeah, we gotta get out of here. And like I said, as always, like, subscribe. Thank you for all the super chats. We always appreciate them. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. This is early for us, 1 p.m. Eastern. What was we thinking? But we've had over 100 people basically the whole time, so cannot complain. You guys always show up. Friday. There will be a watch along on the Twitch tonight. Tomorrow there'll probably be a watch along for Collision. And just keep an eye on the Recipes page. You'll be kept up to date. And one last time, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and thanks again for the super chats. Peace.